Before books, Teperdi to Kinda, every story lived inside someone's memory. But memories grow old, just like the people who carry them. Khai wondered, what would happen when the last storyteller was gone? The next morning, the children searched for food, just as they had been taught. Not every berry meant life. Some carried death instead. Nara arrived just in time. One mistake could have ended a young life. Knowledge kept the tribe alive, but only if someone remembered it. One day, Nara would grow old. Bora would be gone. Who would remember then? The greatest danger was no longer hunger. It was forgetting. Deep inside the mountain, Khai found something that could remember longer than any human. Unlike people, these stone walls never forgot. The mountain had stood here for thousands of years. Perhaps it could remember for thousands more. A piece of burned wood left behind something unexpected. The wall answered his touch with a mark that did not disappear. For the first time, memory stayed behind after the hand had moved away. Khai wasn't trying to make art. He was trying to remember. The shape was simple, yet everyone who saw it would know exactly what it meant. The mammoth was gone, but its story remained. Tor had never seen a picture before, yet he recognized the mammoth instantly. Without saying a single word, everyone understood the same story. Knowledge became more powerful the moment it could be shared. A child's first drawing became the tribe's first shared memory. Mira chose to remember the plants that fed the tribe. Some pictures would teach people how to live. Others would teach them what to avoid. Tor preserved the hunt, so future hunters would never begin with nothing. Pictures became lessons, and lessons no longer vanished with time. Children learned faster when they could see the story with their own eyes. Bora had carried these memories for an entire lifetime. For the first time, Bora knew his memories would outlive him. That day, humanity discovered that stories could survive longer than storytellers. Every elder carried a story, but now the mountain could carry it forever. Bora drew the path that had guided the tribe through countless seasons. For the first time, every generation shared the same memory together. Pictures could now tell more than objects. They could tell a journey. The youngest hunter had begun telling stories without speaking. Some stories taught courage, others taught survival. The cave had become more than a shelter. It had become humanity's first classroom. Knowledge no longer depended on perfect memory. It could now be seen by every generation. Bora no longer feared being forgotten. On these silent walls, humanity discovered that memories could outlive every storyteller. For the first time, the tribe could see its own history. The drawings no longer showed only things, they began telling events. A child could now learn from someone who wasn't even speaking. The cave became the world's very first classroom. Pictures helped them remember, but real plants helped them recognize the truth. The wall preserved skills that words alone could never fully explain. For the first time in many years, Bora did not need to repeat every story himself. The sun moved across the sky, but the stories remained exactly where they belonged. Without realizing it, they had built humanity's first place dedicated to preserving knowledge. Humanity had discovered something even stronger than memory, a way to leave its story behind for generations yet to come. Every sunrise would now begin with a reminder of who they were. Soon the walls began recording more than animals. They began recording the sky. For the first time, children began drawing the people they loved. Soon, charcoal was no longer enough. The tribe searched for new colors. The stories became brighter and easier to remember. Nature offered more than food. It also offered colors to preserve memory. Perhaps the greatest story was not about animals at all. It was about the people who survived. Each hand whispered the same message. We were here. Even when Bora was gone, his hand would remain. Long before writing, humanity discovered that the walls could remember what people never could. For the first time, the cave held more memories than any single human mind. Charcoal was no longer ash. It had become a tool for remembering. The greatest discoveries are repeated when the next generation chooses them willingly. Soon, every child wanted to leave a story of their own. Bora smiled, because the tribe no longer depended on his memory alone. Without realizing it, they had begun protecting knowledge itself. This place had become more than a shelter. It had become the memory of an entire people. Rain came. Snow came. The drawings remained. One generation created the story. The next generation inherited it. They would leave this valley behind, but their story would remain long after their footprints disappeared. Their footprints would disappear with the wind, but their stories would remain inside the mountain. The tribe moved on, but the mountain stayed behind to guard their memories. Days passed, and the silent walls continued keeping their promise. Storm after storm washed across the valley, yet the stories refused to fade. The seasons changed, but memory endured. Years became generations. Yet the mountain never forgot. Time had changed the people, but not the story they left behind.
Now, Naden stepped into the Orin's Ayn. The student had become the storyteller.
Every generation leaves a mark, so the next one knows they were never alone. Before there were books, before there were words, humanity learned to remember by drawing its soul upon the stone. The people disappeared, but the stories refused to die. Stone remembered what flesh could never hold forever. The cave no longer belonged to one generation. It belonged to every generation that would come after. Silence became the guardian of humanity's first library. Empires would rise, kingdoms would fall, but these walls would keep waiting. Thousands of years later, another human entered the cave. Separated by thousands of years, two hands almost touched. Every line carried a lesson. Every handprint carried a heartbeat. Every civilization began with one simple idea: never let knowledge disappear. Before writing, there were stories. Before history, there was memory. And before civilization, there were people who chose to leave